Hey, honeys, today we are going to work on our research paper introduction and the conclusion. So you should have your 5 body paragraphs, which follow this outline. So our introduction is going to be a big overview of the topic and a roadmap for your paper. So it's nice that we've already written your paper. Now you just have to go back and see what you talked about and then introduce it. There is zero evidence in your introduction. So there's no citations, nothing super, super specific that you wouldn't be able to know just from your working memory of having written this paper. That's why it's nice to do it at the end. All right, and then your conclusion is going to answer the question like, so what? Why is this topic important? Why is it relevant today? Why do we still research and learn about it? And again, zero evidence. The only evidence that you should have is going to be in those body paragraphs. All right, so for your introduction, your very first sentence is going to overview the entire topic. And so here's an example. You might say something from 1933 to 1945, Nazi Germany systematically worked to rid the world of European Jewry and other targeted groups. Again, I'm using my notes, I'm referencing things that we have learned. I'm using that definition that we started with. So that's totally acceptable. Just don't full on copy the definition. All right, your second sentence starts to narrow. So think about, what do you talk about in sections 1 and 2? How was this like a systematic process, or what was the first step? So you can say something like, the first step in the plan was, or the first thing the Jews experienced was. And then, so in here, I included removing the Jews from occupied towns, forcing them to ghettos, then loading them onto cattle cars to the concentration camps. Again, our whole introduction is going to be like 5 sentences long. All right, our third sentence, narrow it down to probably sections 3 and 4, kind of go hand in hand, the concentration camps and resistance. So something similar to removing Jews from society. Nazis forced Jews to work while providing minimal food and resources for survival, further stripping them of their humanity and dignity. Some Jews were able to organize and resist in various ways. Some were more successful than others. Again, I'm also looking at my topic sentences, and I can use those, not word for word, but use those ideas to help me write these sentences. If I'm revising, I might actually pare that one down. It's pretty long and it's 2 sentences. All right, sentence 4 is going to be your last section. So whichever one that you decided to do, again, talk about like, how does it fit with the others? How is it like the end or the next or anything like that? All right, and then your thesis. This is going to be your last statement. So what does your research paper prove about the Jews' experience? So something similar to overall multiple accounts, including photographic evidence or survivor testimonial, anything like that. Evidence confirms how the Holocaust was the Nazis' meticulous effort to exterminate all the Jews. Again, it's a little bit of a retelling of your first sentence, but again, it also outlines and says, like, look, there were many things that led to this. There were many steps in it. There's evidence to support it. There's multiple sources, and that's what your whole paper is going to prove. All right, so here is an example of it all together and color coded. So you see my first sentence, my second sentence, my third and fourth, and then my concluding sentence. So this might be nice to have sitting up while you are working on your introductory paragraph. Again, don't copy from your teacher, but use it as kind of a guide or a model. All right, so then you're going to have your research paragraphs. We've already gone over all those. Then when you are ready, you're going to get to your conclusion. So your conclusion answers the question, so what? Why should we learn about this? How is it still relevant in today's society? This should be about 4 to 5 sentences. These are some sentence frames to get you started. Do not just use all of them. This is not a like fill in the blank paragraph, but these are good and useful in different ways. Okay. And the reason I say don't use all of these is last semester we had someone literally just take all of these and fill in the blank with single words. It doesn't work. Okay. But these are just some ideas to help you. Really, again, think about if you were to have to go and explain to a sibling or to an underclassman, like, why do we study night? Why do we study the Holocaust? What would you say to convince them about, like, maybe about Holocaust denial, or the fact that, like, these are atrocities that need to never happen again, something like that. We could also be looking at the idea of, um, like holding on to humanity or future generations, or the idea of looking at primary and secondary sources to validate an individual story, something along those lines. All right, honeys, you got this. Good luck.